Deep in the frozen forests of the northern Great Lakes, where the snow falls for months on end and the cold can kill a man in minutes, there lives a creature of legend. A creature so terrifying that even the bravest hunters would not speak its name after dark. The Wendigo, a monster born of hunger, born of greed, born of the darkest corners of the human soul. This is the story of the Wendigo, one of the most powerful and terrifying legends in all of indigenous folklore. The Wendigo comes from the oral traditions of the Algonquian peoples. The Ojibwe, the Cree, the Innu, the Blackfoot, the Saulteaux. Many nations across the northern forests have their own version of the story. But the core is always the same. The Wendigo is a creature that was once human, a person who was consumed by hunger, by greed, by the desire for more than they needed, and that hunger transformed them into something monstrous, something inhuman, something that could never be satisfied. The legend is ancient. It predates European contact by centuries. It is one of the oldest and most enduring stories in all of indigenous North America. In the traditional telling, the Wendigo is described as a giant, taller than any human, skeletal thin. Its skin is gray and stretched tight over its bones. Its eyes glow with a cold light. Its mouth is filled with sharp teeth, and its breath smells of death. It is always hungry, always hunting, always seeking its next victim. The Wendigo does not eat for nourishment. It eats because it cannot stop. The more it eats, the hungrier it becomes. It is a creature of endless, insatiable hunger, a hunger that can never be filled. Some versions of the legend say that the Wendigo grows larger with each victim it consumes. But no matter how large it grows, it is always starving, always emaciated, always in agony. The Wendigo is not just a monster. It is a prisoner of its own hunger, a slave to its own appetite. And that is what makes it so terrifying. It is not evil for the sake of evil. It is evil because it cannot be anything else. But the Wendigo is not just a monster. It is a warning. The Algonquian peoples used the Wendigo legend to teach important lessons about community, about sharing, about the dangers of greed. In the harsh winters of the northern forests, survival depended on cooperation. Everyone had to share. Everyone had to contribute. Those who hoarded, those who took more than their share, those who put their own needs above the community. Those were the ones who were at risk of becoming Wendigos. The legend was a way of enforcing social norms, of keeping the community together, of ensuring that everyone survived the winter. It was not just a story, it was a survival strategy, a way of making sure that no one took more than they needed, that no one put their own survival above the survival of the group. The Wendigo psychosis is a well-documented phenomenon in anthropology. It refers to a condition in which a person becomes convinced that they are transforming into a Wendigo. They develop an intense fear of eating human flesh, or they develop a craving for it. In some cases, individuals who were believed to be Wendigos were executed by their own communities, not out of cruelty, but out of fear. The belief was that a Wendigo could not be cured, that the only way to stop it was to kill it. These executions were rare, but they happened, and they were recorded by European observers who did not understand the cultural context. The Europeans saw the executions as evidence of indigenous savagery, but the indigenous peoples saw them as a necessary evil, a way of protecting the community from a very real spiritual threat. One of the most famous Wendigo cases is that of Swift Runner. In 1879, in what is now Alberta, Canada, Swift Runner was a Cree trapper who killed and ate his wife and 5 children during a harsh winter. He claimed that a Wendigo spirit had possessed him, that he had been unable to control his hunger. The authorities did not believe him. He was arrested, tried, and hanged for murder. But the Cree people understood. They knew that the Wendigo was real, not as a physical creature, but as a spiritual force, a force that could possess a person. that could drive them to unspeakable acts. Swift Runner's case is tragic, but it is also a powerful example of the Wendigo legend in action. A man who was consumed by hunger, who lost his humanity, who became something monstrous. The Wendigo legend also speaks to the trauma of starvation. In the northern forests, winters were long and brutal. Food was scarce. Starvation was a real and constant threat. The Wendigo represents the ultimate consequence of starvation. What happens when a person is so hungry that they lose their humanity? When they become nothing but hunger, nothing but need. The legend is a way of processing that fear, of giving it a name, of making it something that can be fought, something that can be defeated. The Wendigo is the embodiment of every hunter's worst nightmare. The fear that the hunger will win, that the cold will win, that the forest will win, and that you will become something that you do not recognize, something that your family would not recognize, something that is no longer human. In modern times, the Wendigo has become a popular figure in horror movies and video games. But these portrayals miss the point. The Wendigo is not just a monster. It is a teaching story, a warning about the dangers of greed, about the importance of community, about what happens when we lose our humanity. The indigenous peoples who created this legend understood something profound, that the real monsters are not the creatures in the forest. They are the darkness within us, the hunger that can never be satisfied, the greed that consumes everything it touches. The Wendigo teaches us that we are all capable of becoming monsters, that hunger and greed can transform us into something we do not recognize. But it also teaches us that there is a way back, through community, through sharing, through remembering that we are not alone. The Wendigo is the ultimate loner, the ultimate individualist, and that is what makes it a monster, because humans are not meant to be alone. We are meant to be together, to share, to care for each other. And when we forget that, the Wendigo is waiting,